It's not.
Because it's prior to all activity. Because the happiness is not an activity. See, even the subtle activity of attention, attending objects, that is a subtle, it's a very subtle, it's the most subtle activity. And I'm showing you that the happiness is more subtle than that. What you are is more subtle than the most subtlest activity that you experience objectively. That you experience attention actually as an object. You're experiencing the movement of attention. It's a phenomenal appearance. You are watching. That's why I said, well, watch the attention. Come back to where it came from. I said, well, where did it come from? You said me awareness. Okay, well, the attention moved, but did you move? Have you ever moved?
No.
Exactly. You've never moved. Because what you are is non-phenomenal. So this is good. You're seeing it very clear. Now you see that you can't lose it. It's what you are. No one can take it from you. It's not dependent on anything. It's not a thing. It's not an activity. It's prior to all life circumstances. It's independent of all life circumstances. It's not found in the world.
So there's a little bit of, you know, a distant thought that's fearful.
Uh-huh.
Because at some point you have to come back to the thought, right? Like what I had mentioned to you in my message, Mitch, regarding my son,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if I bring that thought in there that, you know, he's sick,
Mm-hmm.
um, that, you know, brings the suffering.
Mm-hmm.
So then how do you stay in this and bring that thought and not suffer? I guess, or yeah, I don't know how to put it. And it's not even very strong, you know. It's like this fleeting suffering.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I know that it's not true what the mind is saying.
Yeah. So this is because of what I just showed you, for everyone. The mind will use any and every tactic now. And it mainly uses fear. That this is the tactic to get the attention to come out, you could say, and engage in the suffering activity. So this is kind of like it uses these fearful thoughts almost as like bait. And this is a way that it sustains itself because it needs the attention. That's what I said, is that attention, that interest. The suffering needs attention and interest. With no attention, no interest, the suffering just, it's like it starves. So at this point, you start you'll just kind of notice this kind of, dang, I just fell for it again. It's like Mr. Mind knocks at the door, right? Because you're staying home. Mr. Mind comes, knocks on the door, and wants to sell you suffering. So you have to buy into it, meaning you have to believe it. You have to invest in it. What are you investing? Your interest. Your attention. So you basically just start seeing this now, this kind of mechanism that I can just simply rest in myself as myself. I can just stay home. But now there's going to be Mr. Mind that wants to solicit. And it says, if you put a sign on the door, I'm just going to stay home and be happy. And I'm going to put the sign on the door that says no soliciting. It still wants to knock on the door. And it's always like an invitation. Hey, do you want to come out and suffer? So this is what I mean, is like, this is like what people would call like self-abidance. You're abiding as the self. This, what I'm showing you, is the highest form of devotion. You just have to love the truth. Love yourself. Love God, whatever you want to call it. And you'll see, just experientially, you'll just kind of see this kind of almost like these like extremes where you're like, wow, it's just so not a thing matters. It's just this this happiness, this love, this peace, this freedom. Just you don't need anything. You don't lack anything. You're not missing anything. You're already fulfilled. You're whole. You're complete. This is what you are. But then, like I said, is Mr. Mind's going to come and say, hey, but what about this? What about that? What about tomorrow? What about the past? What about, and it's going to come with all of this kind of this heaviness, all this baggage. So you kind of like do this kind of flip-flopping. But eventually you just, you basically you just have had enough of that. And by seeing that, by basically falling for the tricks of the mind over and over, you start picking up on it. But I'm giving you a big clue that it uses fear. It uses fear. Because notice that your true self is fearless. There's no fear. You're not experiencing happiness plus fear. It will always come with like, but this is the problem. You can't just be problem free. I mean, there's a problem right here. You need to solve it. But that's what the mind does. It's constantly just creating problems to solve. You have to see that's just what it does. That's the activity of the mind. How people like, they go, I'm a problem solver, and like that's their like label. That's their title. It's like, yeah, but you're also a problem creator. That's just what the mind does. So it's like you have to love being problem free. You have to love the freedom. You have to love the peace. You have to love the love. You have to love the happiness that you are. You have to love yourself. The truth. You have to love not suffering. Mr. Mind shows up at the door. Hey, do you want to suffer today? Oh, I'd love to do that today. Right? It takes effort. You have to leave home. So you just start, you see experientially, you fall for it and go, but then it's like you start seeing it more and more. And then it's like, it's more of a, it's just ignoring. Oh, the solicitor's back, and we're not going to answer the door. We're good. He always wants to sell us something. The mind always wants to sell you something. It wants to sell you a solution to a problem that it created. But just check. When these thoughts arise, just check. Because the thoughts will be like, oh, you need to do this in order to be happy. Okay, hold on. Let me just check. Let me just see. No, I'm full of happiness. I don't need any. I'm good. I don't need to buy anything from you. Ask the next guy. It's kind of like that. That's why I said is the experience starts outweighing the concept, because the concept is just a thought. The thought is saying there's a problem. Hold on, Mr. Thought, Mr. Mind, let me just check. No, I'm problem free. I'm good. I'm not lacking anything. I'm good. So I'm just showing you, we're joking around like this. That's you just checking with yourself. You have to check with yourself, because remember, the mind doesn't know you. The mind has never met you. It can only suggest. The thought is like a suggestion. Oh, you're out of happiness. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, I better do what you told me to do. I better work hard. to get some of that happiness. Oh, you're telling me I need to go to McDonald's and get a Happy Meal to be happy? I better do that. So before that, you just check with yourself. Just like we just did. You're just checking. By checking, you're just experiencing yourself. And the more you're experiencing yourself, the more of this mind going door to door, it stops. It's no different than an actual, I'm joking around, I'm trying to make it, funny here for you guys, it's no different than an actual like door-to-door salesman. Like when you stop answering the door, they stop coming. But if you always answer the door, if you're so quick to answer the door, then it's like they keep coming. This is a loyal customer. But the true loyalty is to yourself, the truth of what you are. Be loyal to the happiness that you are. So you see, it comes back to like that interest. It comes back to the interest. And there's only interest because there's identification. Notice how in the experience of your true self, there's no identity. When you're experiencing happiness, you're not a somebody. You are happiness. But that's just a name that we're giving. But you're just, see you, Mateo. We're just using that word. Really, in the experience of yourself, you're not even thinking, oh, this is happiness. No, there's not that. The word happiness is only being used here in contrast to what you're usually experiencing, which is suffering or unhappiness or dissatisfaction. That's the only reason why we're using that word. It only makes sense to call it happiness in that sense. But really what you are, it's non-conceptual. So even happiness is a concept. But the experience of yourself, it's non-conceptual, non-phenomenal. Really, we can't say anything about it. These words, happiness, love, peace, and freedom, they're just pointing to actually the absence of what you're usually experiencing. As happiness as the absence of suffering, as peace as the absence of conflict, as love as the absence of separation, freedom as the absence of limitation, abundance as the absence of lack, rest as the absence of agitation. That's really like these words, they only make sense in that context, how we're speaking about it after. But the actual experience of yourself, no, like the thought doesn't come up like, oh, I'm so happy now. No.
Yeah.
Happiness is never like that. there's never, like, in the experience of happiness, there's never someone that's claiming that happiness. That only happens after as a thought. I was happy this afternoon. No, but in the actual experience of happiness, there's no somebody. In truth, nobody has ever experienced happiness. Nobody ever will. Because the experience of happiness is the absence of the person, the identity. It's when the identification stops. So just like you said, when I asked you, like, what did you do? And you said, well, you know, you're kind of struggling for the words, but you said, like, well, I let go. It's like, look what was actually let go of, who you think you were. And because you just experienced yourself in the absence of Luke, and you just saw how, well, even if you said I let go, if I were to ask you, were you actually even holding on? What would you say?
No.
No. It's not a true attachment. If it was a true attachment, you'd have to, like, you know, sever some kind of, you know, cable cord, uncuff yourself, you know, unbind, like, but look at you just see that you're always free.
It's like an anchor that I thought was attached to me, but then I look down and it's
Yeah,
never
it's never
attached.
there. It's an illusion, right? It's yeah, now you're seeing it clearer. You were never attached to it. It's just you're overlooking yourself. It's like overlooking home, only like looking at these other things. That's why I said that which you're looking for is where you're looking from. You've been looking from home. You've never left home. You are home. Home is you. You've never left. Not to bring like religion talk into this, but it's like as if you are heaven dreaming of being in hell. Heaven is what you are, but you're dreaming of being in hell. But you've never left because it's what you are. The destination that you're trying to arrive at is actually what you are. You are the destination. The human experience is the journey. Now, remember when you said, well, it was a shift in perspective and you saw the thinking and the touching and the tasting and the seeing and the hearing and the whatever other one I forgot, seeing. You saw the thinking in the five senses and you said it zoomed out And all of that activity was appearing in you.
Yeah.
You are the destination that the journey is appearing in. The human experience is appearing in you. Is it not? Isn't the human experience thinking, seeing, touching, smelling, tasting, hearing? Isn't this this is the human experience?
Yeah.
Yeah. And just like you said you're beyond it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why you're free from it. And you've always been free from it. And you see, you're not attached to it. You don't share the same limitations as the human experience. What you truly are is limitless. The human experience is limited. But you, that which is experiencing the human experience, is not limited. Thinking and the five senses, these are all limited experiences. But that which is experiencing, can you find any limitation to that?
No, I don't think so.
And just to confirm, isn't it you that's experiencing?
Yeah.
Yeah. As in, experiencing is you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you are limitless. What are you experiencing right now?
The human experience.
Hmm?
Um,
Like right now, what are you experiencing?
I feel like I'm experiencing some thinking and hearing and seeing
Hmm?
and feeling
Is your mind trying to like work this all out?
a little bit,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah. There's thoughts,
Yeah.
but I see them
Yeah.
and it's kind of funny
Mhm.
or like not funny, but like I see the thoughts and it makes me kind of giggle.
Yeah.
So
Well, it has that element of element's not the right word, but this lightness now that you're seeing it.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
When you're kind of you could say like at that like at a distance when you're beyond the thinking and you're watching it and you're seeing how the mind is kind of going, how does this I mean, how does this work? How do I figure this out? See you, Concha. You're
uh,
watching that now.
yeah,
You're watching it like spin its wheels.
yeah, and it's kind of funny.
That's yeah,
It's like a joke that it's not in on, or like riddle that it's
exactly.
to
Yeah.
figure out, and I have the answer, and I'm like,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
gonna get it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not that you have the answer, it's you are the answer.
Mm,
Yeah. Right. Mr. Mind is the one that has all the questions.
yeah.
Right. The irony is that you are the answer. And the joke is that the mind will never know that answer. Ever. So this is good. Let's leave it let's leave it at this.
This room has never been more interesting.
That's good. You'll then yeah, just check it out. With the fresh eyes.
Yeah, it's like where the playfulness that you were talking about before comes in, or something. It's like,
Yeah, it's like this just this curiosity, this wonder, this
yeah, yeah,
innocence,
wonder is good.
childlike, wide-eyed wonder, just looking around, everything just it's fresh. It's now you're knowing without the mind, but you don't it's like you don't know anything other than knowing, right? You're
Right.
what you
Yeah.
call it's like this no mind, right? It's like you're looking, but you're experiencing the room, but it's like this no mind experiencing the room. Usually the mind is always labeling things, painting, poster, wall, door, and it wants to commentate on that. So now it's like, wow, so relaxing without that sound, that narration track.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is it's there's just simply knowing, and it's you that's knowing. It's you that's knowing that you are knowing, right? It's you that's experiencing, but you're experiencing. To the mind, it just sounds goofy, but it's hard to speak about because of like it's the same word. You're just saying it twice, and then
Yeah.
you're aware that you're aware, and it's like that's the experience that's so unique. You're experiencing yourself. So whatever you're looking at, it's like you're just experiencing the experiencing.
Yeah. You know what's is kind of feels crazy about it to me is not necessarily how like alive I feel right now, but how I wasn't feeling alive before.
Yeah, because you notice the contrast, you notice the, yeah,
Because
right?
this feels natural, and
Yeah,
I'm like, it's just like there's nothing to say about it. It's just
yeah,
like yeah. And
yeah,
then now I'm thinking about like, damn.
yeah. You have the contrast. You go, holy shit, I was dead before.
Yeah, yeah.
You have a contrast.
No light on in the house.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's really, yeah. I mean, it's so, it's indescribable. It's indescribable. And it's so paradoxical because it feels so extraordinary, but so ordinary.
Mhm. Mhm.
It feels so new, but so familiar. But you're experiencing it right now. You're like, there's just this causeless joy for no reason. There's this causeless contentment. So you're looking at like a blank wall,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Usually I need like two movies and social media and a radio playing in the background to be
Sure. Yeah.
forget shit.
Yeah. Yeah. But now it's like it's almost seen as like that's like a numbing.
Yeah, yeah,
Because there's an intensity that's experienced right now. That there's like, wow, you're like, we have to speak about it after. And like while you're experiencing, you're not having this dialogue, but it's like this intensity. It's like it's full on. There's an immediacy that's experienced.
yeah. Almost like how could a movie be more interesting than the wood grain on the top of this table?
Yeah. 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 So that's good. So I'll leave you with that wood grain on top of your table. It's it's good. We can take it another step next week when we talk. But this is good that you're seeing it this clearly, experiencing it this clearly. So it's good.